Hello everyone, I am the Stone Tank Engine, and welcome back to another episode of the Thomas Talks. Again, if you haven't seen the previous episodes, I suggest you go watch them to fit better with the sequencing. But anyways, I've noticed that I've made a few mistakes while making these videos, as noticed by this lovely user here of my multiple mistakes. I just wanted you guys to know that these videos are meant to be around 10 minutes, so I can't include all the materials, and I wanted to note this because, well, it doesn't bother me or anything, but it just comes as, a bit irritating sometimes for my viewer, just in case if they notice these mistakes. So, just keep in mind, I am aware of them, I just don't feel like it's necessary to include them in the video. But anyways, with all that out of the way, let's continue on with the video. That being Season 3, which aired back all the way in 1991. Now on to the backstory. So after another successful run of the previous season, the crew came back and made a brand new season. Sadly, narrator Ringo Starr would have to leave the spotlight for the UK audience, and narrator Michael Angelis would take his spot. Rest in peace. Luckily, US narrator George Carlin would stick around and narrate the season. Music would yet again be composed by Mike and Junior respectively. More stories would be adapted from the Railway series, but some of these would include stories in which the previous seasons hadn't done, like Tenders for Henry and Doubleheader, just to name a few. Although there were episodes that were done in the following seasons, such as Bullseyes and the Fat Controller's Engines, going by different names. This season would also heavily start altering and drifting apart from the Railway series style, having stories being altered from their original counterparts, or not being based off the Railway series at all. This would become a reoccurring thing for the future seasons. But anyways, let's get on with our new characters. Oliver is an engine who had been running away, trying to escape from being scrapped, and would soon be saved by Douglas, and work with Duck on his branch line, being a self-confident, fearful, authoritarian, humble, and boastful engine from time to time. Mavis is a diesel who at first is a very naive and arrogant engine, who does not take advice too well from others, and likes to be more independent, but as her character grows, she's more honest, reliable, and hard-working. Toad is a polite and optimistic brake van, who, well, just like Oliver, was trying to escape from being scrapped, and is very obedient while doing his work, and is loyal and has been remarkably known to say Mr., Miss, or Sir to others. Bulgy is a double-decker bus which is very grumpy and mean-spirited towards others, and has a disdained belief that roads are better than rails, and wants them to be teared up, but would soon get a change in attitude until it would be reverted back. Other characters were introduced, but they were really much cameos, so I don't really count them here. Sorry, City of True Rome. Sorry, Flying Scotsman. And the Season 1 and 2 crew would come back too. Now anyways, let's start. Now, I absolutely love this season, and this is how I have decided which one would be my favorite season between Season 1 and 3. And I gotta say, this one might actually be my favorite. I mean, there are multiple reasons for it to be my favorite season, it ranging from many aspects such as the atmosphere, the music, narrations, etc. It was certainly a time of change for the series, and it was well deserved in my opinion. This was a time where Thomas and his friends would start to become global icons. They were brought to many new countries, and each absolutely loving this tank engine and all his friends, especially in Japan. I mean, seriously, they had a whole special exclusive to Japan, and to Japan only, where two Japanese children's characters, I can't pronounce their names, met Thomas and some of his friends, with some never before seen footage of that season, which makes it something I wish we saw here in the States, or just in general. But anyways, it was a new period of time, and Thomas being successful again with its second season airing, and so it had a bigger budget and was given a bigger usage, and boy does it show here. The sets had never looked so beautiful before at the time being. I mean, some of these sets look absolutely stunning, dude. I mean, dear lord. This season would also have the most deleted scenes out of the whole classic series, which is absolutely crazy to think. That makes it, honestly, an even better season. There's much more to still discover. However, with this, I do have one gripe with it, and this was something not new to the series, that being the continuity within the Railway series. Except, this would have an even bigger continuity gap, considering stories which should have been made in Season 1 or 2 would be adapted here, messing that up. But I hadn't noticed when I first watched the season, so it didn't really bother me too much. And at some extent, it still doesn't really bother me as much. Also, episodes of these seasons were very scarce to watch. I mean, I only had like 2 DVDs of Season 3 when I was a kid. And the one I wouldn't watch for the sole reason being a part where James gets stung by a bee. And so I wouldn't watch the DVD fully or just not watch it at all. So it was neat seeing many episodes I hadn't seen before. This season would also drift off from the aesthetic from Season 1 and 2, which really shows how much the show was heading to a new direction. The tone would also be a bit laid back, but did have its key moments here and there, needing to be dark here or sadder there, or more heartwarming here and there, making that a really good factor in this season. And with that, I think I've covered the basics, so let's get on with the next topic. Storylines would be a less bigger part of this season, considering many really didn't have a continuity or are expanding in multiple episodes, but we'll list some here. With Oliver, we see how he is managing to escape Scrap, being saved by Douglas while on his trip to take a goods train to the other railway, and take Oliver back home, who coincidentally happens to be the perfect fit for Duck's branch line. Which yeah, this happens to be the place where it would form the well-loved Little Western. But Oliver would become very full of himself, causing him to crash, but to learn to gain respect in the following season. Wait, really? A whole other season till we would see him gain his well-deserved respect? Okay. Mavis has a very fitting arc, being from a naive and independent engine who wants things her own way without being told what to do. She could do whatever she wants and have a chance to go out of the quarry and move on, but her stubbornness would cause her actions to bite her back, but soon to become a more understanding character and lovable one by the end. Toad, just as Oliver, would escape from Scrap and would really just follow the same things as Oliver, except he would not become full of himself, but instead help out Oliver in the following season to teach the trucks a lesson. Bulgy is an ignorant bust who plans to have Road take over rails, which sounds like another character we'll talk about in the next episode, who has friends never seen but mentioned to also have the same goal, but would never learn sense and would soon be turned into a henhouse for his evil actions, but changing as he would return in the following seasons, becoming a more accepting bust, but would go back to his previous persona for some reason. But yeah, that's really it. A bit less storylines, but ah well. Again, as I've stated in the previous episodes, I absolutely love Mike and Jr.'s music, and they again perform a show with this season, yet again. And with the bigger budget, music and sound equipment would come into play, and it becomes very noticeable from the change in music, which I absolutely adore, having more reprises of previous themes, as well as new ones for a new cast of characters, as we see with Oliver having this very coastal type vibe, with a very cheerful attitude and changing over time, which would really reflect them, but none of them can top off the epicness of his escape theme. I mean, dear God, it's absolutely epic. Mavis has a very jumpy and youthful one, and very much representing her youthfulness in this time of the season, reflecting over her youth and wanting to do things her own way. Unfortunately, Toad didn't get a theme, so he sadly doesn't count. And Bulgy wouldn't get a theme until 4 seasons later, but his theme would really mostly reflect his change in personality, but also a very grumpy type of vibe to it as well, but with some wonder still in it. Other themes would have fun and catchy tones, and others with more darker and more intense themes, which would really benefit the episodes, such as Escape. The theme really shows a hard theme, or like Percy's Promise, having a more suspenseful theme, or more laid back and fun, like in Time for Trouble, or a majestic, tear-jerking theme, like in Henry's Forest. I mean, talk about amazing music. Now, this season would have less crashes than Season 2, but they were for a reason. I mean, even though there were less crashes, the impacts were significant. I mean, take in mind Heroes. I mean, the whole Clayworks literally falls to bits. Or when Percy crashes into all the fruits. Also, when Thomas gets bumped by the trucks into a pond, where a raft carries him to the other side of it, but then he slowly starts sinking into it. Wait, what? Or more subtle crashes, such as when Thomas gets bumped. But the crashes yet being less relevant in this season, would have amazing shots and impacts, making episodes with these certain crashes feel more exclusive and better when they were included. Now, what are my final thoughts on this season? Well, if you haven't noticed already, I absolutely adore this season. I mean, there's so many things to love about this season. To the characters, to the settings, to the stories, the list is endless. And, well, it's very sad to see that not many people have come to, well, really talk about this season. Because I think this should be talked about far more. I mean, there's so many things to talk about. It was a time of change indeed, with many things being brought with this new era of Thomas. I mean, we got the lovable merchandise that, well, we all still cling to today. And, well, I think that's a bit more of a personal bias. But, whatever. But anyways, this season has so many things, and I absolutely just adore it. And that's why it's my favorite season. And so, I give it a 10 out of 10. So now here is the trilogy. Of course there's more, but for now we have 3. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this new episode. I actually really liked it. And well, that's all I've really got to say. So yeah, that's it for this little outro. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.